Hi, I'm Jess. In this Learning Bite, I'm going to guide you through the top 6 things you can do to manage your time more effectively. Ready? Okay, let's go. Meet Sarah. Sarah's days, whether she's on site or in the office, they're the same. They're simply chaotic and she feels there's just never enough time in the day. She feels she starts the day already overwhelmed with a never-ending list of tasks, and she feels like she's behind the 8 ball with emails or requests even before the day starts. As a result, as the day progresses, she tries to tackle the easiest things to get them out of the way, or she simply just looks for anything urgent in her inbox or on site and tries to navigate the sea of meetings and emails and constant requests. To cope, Sarah often finds herself staying late in the office, or she tries to catch up by taking work home and squeezing it in around home commitments. As a result, she's exhausted. She's stressed, she's grumpy, and she just feels like the mountain of work is only getting bigger. Now, can you relate to any part of Sarah's story? In this Learning Bite, you're going to discover the top 6 things you can do to better manage your time, and as a result, you're going to free up more time to support others. You're also going to feel a sense of satisfaction at the end of the day because of what you've managed to achieve. You're also going to find that you can meet those deadlines, or at least able to renegotiate prior to the deadline occurring. And finally, you're going to reduce those awful feelings of overwhelm and stress and lack of resilience. So, how do you manage time effectively? To answer this question, we need to look at what time management is and isn't. It isn't squeezing more into the day, working faster or longer, or trying to be superhuman. Rather, time management is consciously choosing what to focus on to achieve goals and priorities today, this week, this month, or even for this year. The first tip is to focus on what's important. To do this, though, you really do need to know how you currently spend your time. So, step 1 is something called a time audit. I want you to grab a piece of paper and a pen you have handy, just one you've got lying around. Once you've done this, I want you to think about your day. I want you to take a snapshot of your day right up until you started watching this Learning Bite. I want you to brainstorm everything you've done, everything on this piece of paper. Emails, meetings, maybe calling the kids' school, driving to site, everything. We'll wait for you to compile the list, and if you need more time, just pause the video. Do this now. The next step is to go back over the same list and estimate how long each task took. For example, if you went to the local coffee shop to grab a coffee, maybe write 30 minutes. If you edited a report and you think it took 60 minutes, write that down. Remember, it's only an estimate. Once again, we'll wait for you, but if you need more time, pause the video. Do this now. Okay, now tell me, what do you notice about your list? Author Stephen Covey suggests our workdays are often filled with time-consuming things that eat up our day and take us away from the tasks that are most important. To demonstrate, imagine each important thing you want to achieve, whether it be today or this week or this month, is represented as a big rock. For example, one rock might be completing the monthly report on time. Another big rock might be leaving work on time on a Wednesday to watch your kid play sport. Or perhaps a third rock might be allowing time each day to coach the apprentice. Then imagine all the other things that consume your day are represented as little rocks. The break room chats, the phone calls, the long meetings, or perhaps a little rock might be managing the latest crisis or interruptions. Now, thinking about your day, generally what we find is it's consumed with little rocks, emails, interruptions, conversations, meetings, etc. And yet, how much of our day is then left for the big rocks, the important things? This is where Sarah found herself in our story. Sarah was taking the important work home, the big rocks, or she was working longer hours, and as a result, she was feeling there was never enough time in the day. So, tip 1 is understanding and knowing what are your big rocks. What must you tackle? What are the non-negotiables? And then doing them in the first half of your day. When you do this, what you'll find, interestingly, is that you'll still be able to do other things. You'll still be able to have those conversations and the breaks, etc. But what you'll also find is that you'll be less stressed because you know the important things are achieved. So to achieve tip 1, reflect on 3 things. 1, what are your big rocks? What are the things that are not negotiable that you need to get done? Number 2, review your time audit and ask yourself, what percentage of the things that you wrote down are little rocks or big rocks? And thirdly, take what's important to you, take your big rocks and block out time to do them in the first half of the day. Make them not negotiable. If you do this, as a result, you'll feel more in control and you'll reduce your stress and that feeling of dread when you look at your to-do list. Interesting, huh? Focusing on what's important is the first tip to mastering time management. As for the second, we're going to look at the myth of multitasking. To do this, let me ask you a question. Do you think multitasking helps with time management? Actually, there's no such thing. Multitasking is a myth. Instead of doing 2 things at once, your brain is just switching between the tasks. Don't believe me? Let's try it out. Grab another piece of paper. Now, draw 2 horizontal lines approximately 2 centimetres apart. We'll wait for you, but if you need more time, just pause the video. Do it now. Now, grab the stopwatch on your phone and I want you to time how long it takes you to write, "I am a great multitasker" on the top line, followed by the numbers 1 to 20 on the second line. We'll wait again, but if you need more time, just pause the video. Do it now. Okay. How long did that take you? Most people say it takes them approximately 20 seconds. So that's part 1. Let's look at part 2 of the activity. I want you to draw 2 more horizontal lines, just as you did before. And in a minute, I'm going to ask you to write the words, "I am a great multitasker" on the top line, and again, the numbers 1 to 20 on the bottom line. However, this time I want you to switch between the lines. So, for example, I want you to write "I" on the top line and then move to write 1 on the bottom line. Go back to the top and write "A" for "am" and then on the top and 2 on the bottom. Then "M" on the top line for "I am" and the number 3 on the bottom line, etc. We'll wait, but again, if you need more time, just pause the video. Do it now. So how did you go? The second attempt was actually an example of trying to multitask. As you experienced, it's a pretty rotten method for trying to get things done quickly and efficiently. Rather than aid productivity, when you try to multitask, it actually reduces productivity by as much as 40%. Indeed, it increases stress and mistakes, it impacts our ability to focus and to also be creative and problem solve. So tip 2 is to focus on one thing and don't attempt to switch between tasks. Bust that multitasking myth. Now we've busted the multitasking myth, let me ask you a question. How do you eat an elephant? The answer? 1 piece at a time. So how does that relate to time management? Tackling big tasks with limited time can feel like you need to eat an elephant. It feels near impossible. So instead, focus on breaking the task into bite-sized pieces, which is called chunking, and then make an agreement with yourself that you'll just do the next chunk for 10 minutes, as this is a perfect way to eat away at a task over time. Then focus on the next chunk, and so on, and so on. Of course, you can keep going past 10 minutes if you like, but chunking a task or breaking it down into bite-sized pieces and then applying the just 10-minute approach will ensure you stop or at least limit procrastination and steadily chip away to success. So tip 3 is to apply the just 10-minute chunking strategy to any large task that comes across your desk. Now you know multitasking is a myth and actually limits productivity, Think about what happens when you're focused, when you're really deep in thought about something and you get interrupted. Tip 4 is how to consciously limit interruptions. Interruptions, while some are inevitable, most are preventable. So to help, I want you to do 4 things. Number 1, turn the ding off your email or text. How many times are you really focused and you hear ding and move away from what you're doing to check your phone or email? Remember, multitasking is a myth, so remove the ding to allow you to focus. Number 2, put your phone on silent when you need to focus, for the same reasons as removing the ding. Number 3, block out time in your calendar to concentrate on your big rocks or important tasks, or focus on chunking your task. You're just 10 minutes. And number 4, if someone does interrupt you, respectfully ask if it's urgent, or can you come see them in 10 or 20 minutes, however long you need. Just remember to do so. So tip 4 is proactively limiting distractions. Tip 5 is my absolute favourite and discusses something called planning fallacy. So let's find out what it's all about. When someone asks you how long a task will take, or you're planning your day and thinking about those big rocks, it's natural to estimate best case scenario. Oh, that'll take me 5 minutes. Or when you're scheduling a meeting, you think about it and you go, oh, that'll take 30, so you schedule for 30. And yet, how often do things take longer to complete than you thought? The reason for this is often a thing called planning fallacy. Simply, we estimate how long something will take. As I said, our default position is best case. Yes, that item would take you 5 minutes if there were no interruptions or distractions, if you didn't have to rework anything, if you understood exactly what was needed and had access to the resources you wanted, and if the ideas flowed. Best case. However, in reality, the best case estimate of how long something will take is often not what happens. That 5-minute task might actually take 15. Think about it. If you're often underestimating how long something will take, is there any wonder you struggle to get things done on time? So, to test out if this is in play, look at the rest of your day post listening to this learning bite and estimate how long each task will take. Then, actually record yourself, interruptions or breaks included, and see how long they take. Let's see if planning fallacy is in play. And if it is, to overcome it, when you estimate how long something will take, ask yourself, what would worst case scenario actually be? And then plan for the middle. So going back to the meeting, best case, 30 minutes. Worst case, 60 minutes. So plan for 45. In summary, tip 5 is watch for planning fallacy. No manager, colleague, client or friend is happy when you miss deadlines. So what can you do? For this, we turn to tip 6. Most people will be happy to renegotiate a deadline if they know in advance. What they don't like, however, is when you just miss a deadline or say things like, sorry, oops, forgot and the like. Now, of course, sometimes deadlines are not movable. However, often they are if it hasn't come and gone. So before we move into tip 6, let's recap what you can do before needing to ask to move a deliverable. Number 1. Work out your priorities and what's important. Focus on those big rocks before noon. 2. Remember, multitasking is a myth and doesn't increase productivity, so focus on one thing at a time. 3. Remove procrastination and chunk tasks into just 10 minutes. 4. Consciously limit interruptions and distractions. And 5. Check for good old planning fallacy. Then, if you still think you don't meet a deadline, let's move to tip 6. Discuss options with the person asking you to deliver on the deadline and see if the timeline or deliverables are negotiable. Maybe you can deliver on 3 of the items by the due date and the balance the following week. Maybe you can ask for a 2-day extension. Who knows? Discussing deadlines prior to them occurring builds trust and confidence in your ability to take responsibility and follow through. Even though you're asking for an extension, you're still seen as proactive, honest, and in control. Warning note though, just make sure you do hit the renegotiated due date. So tip 6 is renegotiate prior to the deadline occurring. So there you have it. 6 tips of how to manage your time effectively beyond creating to-do lists. We hope you enjoyed this learning bite and look forward to seeing you in the next one.